Hey, Emerson, thank you for doing this. I'm curious now, deep into the season, how your playing relationship with Santiago Sosa has evolved and how it can get better, in your opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's started off pretty well. Obviously, he's a great player, and he helps with the distribution out of the back. He's very tough off the ball in terms of winning challenges, and for us, he's a huge part of the way we play. So for me, it's we try to balance it out and who gets the ball and when, and when's the right time to switch around and confuse opponents. So it's obviously in the building stages, the partnership, but I mean, I think it's worked out pretty well. I think it's kind of tough to stop us building out of the back when we do it right, and it's only something that will get better. So I think it's been good.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Emerson. Felipe here. Hope you're doing okay. Listen, I asked Gabriel last week about just speed of play. Like, how can you guys increase your speed of play, whether it's ball circulation or just being more direct? I mean, his answer is very tactical. It really does depend on what the opponent is doing, what their setup looks like. And really, if you're playing at home, I think you guys expect teams to sit back. From your perspective, like you're in the game, you're seeing what the teams are doing, your opponents are doing. Is there a way to perhaps play a little bit more vertically, a little bit faster?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, there's obviously there's times to do it. There's times where you gotta be patient, but there's also that killer instinct we're still trying to find a little bit. And as a team, I think we get around the box enough. Sometimes we're a little bit too patient at times. Other times we're too fast. So we just got to find the balance, and it'll work itself out. We've done a lot of the work on the field, the training pitch of when the right time is, and working on our runs, things like that, the timing of things. But that'll all come. I think we're still technically in the beginning stages of what we're trying to do. It's a very complex way of playing. So we're trying to get everything up to speed quickly. I think we've done numerous things pretty well, but I think that's kind of the last stage for us, is that final third, getting that to where we all feel comfortable and to where we get more chances on goal.
And I think that's a great point, that this does seem like it is a progression, considering the concepts and the style that Gabriel is implementing. Is there perhaps, can you guys look midterm, like mid to long term, and say, hey, by this time this year, we want to be doing this regarding tactics? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, he's always preached to us that it's going to take time to become fully aware of exactly everything we're doing all at the same time. Obviously some people learn different to others as well, so you got to take that into account. I think at this stage of the season, to take on everything we've taken on and to put in some of the performances we've put in, considering the complexity of some of the things that we're being asked to do, has been really well, and it can only get better. And he's been pleased with what we've done so far, and but at the same time, we're working every single day to get better. And he sees the challenges that lie ahead in terms of where we can get better, especially in the final third. And we're working together to make it click. And I think it's hard to put a specific timeline to anything, but I think if we go game to game, week by week, and try to improve, that'll only make us better. And the way we're working, I think we will.
Thank you.
Emerson, you guys are obviously have a huge task on your hands this weekend against Seattle. Kind of, the consensus is they're basically in the best form of any team in MLS right now. What do you see as like the biggest challenges that they present you guys?
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously a close-knit group, tough team to play against, especially in Seattle. So we know we have a tough task ahead of us, but at the same time, we want to go there and try to play on the front foot if we can. And obviously it's we all know it's a difficult game. They're obviously in a really good run of form, and a confident team, so we have to be aware of that for sure. But we don't want to go there to be on the back foot or anything. We want to go there and try to play the way we know we can play, and from there we just see how the game goes. We want to play a good game and create more chances, all that kind of stuff that we've been working on all week, and what happens.
Okay, I've got a question for you, Emerson. That's has nothing to do with Atlanta United, but listen, you played in the championship, you played in the Premier League, you're very familiar with that style of football. There's always been this, I guess, comparison between the EFL, championship level soccer, and MLS. Now that you've seen both, is it fair to compare the two? Do you think MLS is at a higher level? Is there more skill in this league than perhaps what you see traditionally in the championship?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to really compare, like you said, but it's like two different styles entirely. Really, it's the English game is very fast paced all the time, almost. It's especially in that league. I think Premier League's a little different. There's a lot of foreign players that help kind of slow the game down and things like that. But I think in the championship, you find it's all out from the get go in the championship. Whereas here, I think you got players that can slow the game down with their skill alone, their talent, and almost make you aware of them on the field. And you have to pay a little bit more attention to individuals than you would over there. Whereas over there, I think it's more collectively probably tougher to play against a team. They maybe sometimes more organized, things like that. But I think here you find players you really have to almost man mark and make sure you have your eye on them. That's for me as a midfielder, I've had to mark some 10s this year, things like that, where you have to, pay really close attention. And I think that's the main difference. I think over there it's more of a collective effort and in terms of all out, 100% pace. Whereas here it's a little bit more, it's almost tactics within marking players and making sure the skillful players don't have joy.
And just quickly, do you think individual skill in MLS is perhaps underappreciated now that you've played with some great players here in Atlanta and you see it week in, week out?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think, I think each team, it seems like we come up against has, one, two, or three players that can, change a game. So I think the fact that MLS has come along that far, I remember back in the day, it used to not be like that. You come up against some teams where you're like, oh, might have an okay day here, might have an easy day. But it seems like every team you come up against nowadays has really dangerous players. And I think that's just the natural progression of a league like the MLS that's still really young. So especially even we're having young American players now come through and shine at 17 years of age now. So I think that's something that never used to happen. So yeah, it's exciting.
Any last questions before we let them go? All right. Thanks, guys.
Good. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay, guys. We got Santi here. Take questions whenever you guys are ready.
Santi, it's good to see you. It's Doug from the AJC. I just asked Emerson this, and I wanted to get your opinion. How is your working relationship with Emerson developing, and how do you think it can improve in these next few games?
La relación en el campo con Emerson hasta ahora y cómo crees que puede seguir mejorando.
Bien, considero que con Emerson nos estamos entendiendo cada partido mejor.
I think it's going well. I think Emerson and I are understanding each other better each game.
En mi opinión, él es un gran jugador que entiende muy bien el juego.
I think he's a great player who understands the game very well.
Y considero que muchas veces, hablándonos en la cancha, nos complementamos muy bien el uno al otro.
And I think on the field, when we talk, we think we complement each other really well.
In what way do you complement each other very well, do you think?
¿En qué sentidos crees?
Cuando tenemos la posición de la pelota,
When we have possession,
considero que él es siempre una muy buena opción de pase para mí cuando yo tengo el balón.
when I have the ball, I think he's always a good option for me to pass to.
Cuando defendemos también, él es un jugador muy intenso,
And when we defend, he's a very intense player as well.
que hace un desgaste bastante duro, en mi opinión, en el partido.
And in my opinion, he puts in a very hard effort in the game.
Y por eso también considero que es un jugador muy completo.
So that's also why I think he's a very complete player.
Hi, Santi. Hope you're doing well. I wanted to ask you, so when you're a young player at River, it's very hard to, get minutes, to earn minutes on the field. And since you've come here, you've pretty much played every minute, I think, or at least it feels that way. So what does it feel like to kind of just be the centerpiece of this team and how it's affecting your career?
Dice, en River quizás como un jugador joven es difícil conseguir minutos siempre, ¿no? Pero ahora que estás aquí jugando mucho, ¿cómo te sientes ahora siendo uno de las piezas importantes del equipo?
Bien, me siento muy cómodo. Creo que lo personal me hacía falta tener rodaje, sumar varios partidos.
I'm feeling well personally. I think, on a personal level, getting these minutes has been very good.
Por supuesto que en River es muy complicado para los chicos.
Of course, at River, it's very hard for young players.
No lo tomo como una excusa, pero estoy muy contento de estar acá, de haber jugado hasta el momento todos los partidos.
So I don't see that as an excuse, but I am very happy here to have been able to play every game so far.
Y también con la función que tengo.
And also with my role.
Santiago, ¿qué más? Con Felipe Cárdenas, con The Athletic. Saludos. Hablando de tu función, cuando vos estás atrasado un poquito entre los dos centrales, viendo el partido, viendo la circulación de la pelota, ¿dónde crees y por qué y cómo puede Atlanta quizás incrementar el ritmo de juego? O sea, considerando que los defensas, o sea, los equipos que vienen a Atlanta los van a esperar. ¿Cómo pueden empezar a jugar un poquito más rápido quizás? ¿Qué estás viendo cuando estás atrasado?
In his opinion, what he sees as to how the team can pick up the pace and pick up their rhythm attacking.
Sí, obviamente que uno cuando juega como último defensor tiene la visión de lo que pasa en todo el partido. También considero que por momentos somos un equipo vertical, por otros no. Obviamente depende. Obviamente depende del partido.
I think at times we're a vertical team and at times we're not. It just depends on the moment in the game.
Pero bueno, eso también depende de cómo se presenta el rival, ¿no? Si el rival a veces se presenta más arriba, somos más directos, si nos espera a veces es complicado entrarles. Es más quizás un tema también de posicionamiento del rival.
But it's also a question of the way the opponent has set up for that game. So whether they're trying to press or trying to sit back. So it's always a question on the opponent also.
No sé si va tu pregunta.
Sí, no, perfecto. Y para la siguiente pregunta, Emerson acaba de decir que ustedes están trabajando eso semanalmente, o sea, cuando llegan a la portería rival, cómo atacar, cuándo atacar, cómo tocarla. Como te dije, los rivales que llegan a Atlanta por tradición siempre esperan, así que me imagino que eso es algo que están trabajando día a día, cómo enfrentar a una defensa compacta.
If the teams have been working on how to break down that compact defense.
Sí, por supuesto. Trabajamos todos los días en cómo poder tratar de entrarle al rival, de poder lastimarlo.
Of course, that's something we're working on every day, is to how we can do damage to a defense.
Y como te decía, a veces es más fácil, a veces más difícil, pero bueno, siempre tratamos de encontrarle la vuelta.
And as I say, it's something we're always working on. Sometimes it's not easy, but we're always looking to find that breakthrough.
Santiago, what has surprised you most about playing in the MLS?
¿Qué te ha sorprendido jugando en la MLS? Quizá la cosa que más te sorprendió.
¿Qué me sorprendió? ¿Qué jugador me sorprendió?
No, ¿qué?
Ok.
En general.
Me sorprendió mucho, por ejemplo, el último partido local, todo lo que es en sí el show.
I think what has surprised me, for example, in the last game at home, was how big of a show everything is.
También lo que me parece muy bueno es que está todo mediante un cronograma donde se cumple a rajatabla tema de horarios.
And just the structure and how well organized everything is, and how things are on schedule.
Esas son quizás los puntos que más me han sorprendido, ¿no?
I think those are the main points that have surprised me.
Y también lo que me sorprendió fueron los equipos, ¿no? Que uno, como ya lo he dicho en anteriores notas, uno piensa que los equipos no son de buen nivel, pero cuando uno juega se encuentra con otra cosa.
And I think the teams we play against have also surprised me. As I've said before, there's different views on the league, but when you play against the teams, you realize what the level is.
Santi, when you say how big of a show everything is, can you give an example of that, please?
¿Qué es un ejemplo de lo que estás diciendo sobre la MLS siendo un show?
Por ejemplo, el otro día en el partido que tuvimos en Atlanta, en nuestro estadio, cuando vamos del vestuario hacia la cancha, que tenemos los fans a tan solo 3 metros, eso es algo que nunca me ha tocado vivir.
For example, in our last home match in Atlanta, going out onto the field, we have the fans, within 3 meters of us as we're going by, and that's something that's never happened to me before.
Esa es una de las cosas, ¿no? Y también después cuando hacemos los goles que ponen música también.
And also when we score goals, they play music.
Just wait until they let us back into the locker room after the game.
Dice que tienes que ver cuando entran los periodistas a los vestuarios.
¿Sí?
Que antes era normal, pero...
Ahora por pandemia no. Sí, es muy distinto a Argentina.
No.
Very, very different from Argentina.
Santiago, ¿vos te imaginas llegar a la cancha y caminar tan cerca de la hinchada en Argentina? O sea, ¿vos te imaginas eso?
Y hoy en día, ¿qué te lo preguntas?
Just if he could imagine that, being that close to the fans in Argentina.
Bueno, hoy en día el COVID en Argentina está muy grave, la verdad.
Pero sin COVID, o sea, un día normal.
Y es complicado a veces, porque el fanático argentino se te tira de cabeza, te quiere abrazar. Quizás acá es más tranquilo, se vive con más tranquilidad. El fútbol en Argentina se vive muy, muy loco.
I think it would be difficult for that to happen in Argentina. The fans are just different, and the way people experience football is different. The fans would want to be, touching you and hugging you, and I think it'd be complicated.
Santi, te tengo una pregunta táctica, o sea, volviendo a la seriedad, ¿no? Seattle, uno de los mejores equipos de la liga por años, un equipo fuerte. Este año cambiaron su sistema táctico a un 3-5-2. Y ha sido como que una gran noticia, porque antes jugaban con 4 atrás, muy tradicional, ahora tienen el 3-5-2. ¿Qué tipo de desafío les presenta ese tipo de sistema táctico, y si es algo que Gabriel ya está quizás analizando?
What kind of challenge Seattle's tactical shift to a back 3 or 5 this season presents for the team?
Sí, por supuesto. Pienso que el partido pasado contra Montreal nos jugaron con un esquema igual, 3-5-2. Creo que la otra vez lo supimos manejar generalmente bien.
I think in the last game against Montreal, they played a similar system, and we were able to control the game well.
Obviamente que va a ser un partido muy distinto al que fue con Montreal, pese a que tiene el mismo esquema.
Obviously, this will be a different game than the one against Montreal, even though they have the same setup.
Como vos decís, va a ser un partido muy, muy duro porque ellos vienen primero en su conferencia invictos.
As you say, it'll be a tough game because they're coming in first place in their conference and unbeaten.
Son un gran equipo, pero nosotros igualmente vamos a concentrarnos en nuestro trabajo.
They're a great team, but we're just going to focus on doing our jobs.
Y venir y hacer lo que venimos haciendo.
And do what we've been doing. We got time for a couple more.
La última mía. Lamentable la noticia de Lisandro. Me imagino que pues, es una situación muy delicada, pero en el punto futbolístico, pues el equipo pierde un gran delantero, un jugador profesional con mucha experiencia que llegó para aportar. ¿cuál han sido las conversaciones entre ustedes, entre quizás los delanteros también, de cómo van a suplirlo, cómo van a poder cubrir esa baja?
It's about Lisandro Lopez leaving the team and his role and all his experience and how the players think they can fill that void.
Sí, por supuesto, lo que le ocurrió a Lisandro no es algo agradable para nadie. Creo que a todos nos ha afectado bastante, o por lo menos a mí en lo personal mucho.
Of course, Lisandro's situation, isn't pleasant for anybody. So I think it's affected us. It affected me personally.
Pero más que nada por la persona que es él, no por la clase de jugador que él. Si bien es un excelente jugador, yo creo que primero está la persona.
Obviously, he's a great player, but first he's a person, and he's someone was a great person or is a great person.
Ojalá que él pueda salir bien allá en Argentina, las cosas que tiene con su familia, sus problemas, que le puedan resultar bien.
Hopefully, in Argentina with his family, he'll be able to to be well.
Y con respecto a que perdemos un jugador, también tenemos otros compañeros que están en la misma posición y creo que lo van a hacer bien también.
And we've lost a player, but we have other players in his position who are also able to do things well.
Una más, perdón. Se me olvidó preguntarte sobre el partido de hoy con River. Me imagino que estás al día con lo que está pasando, el hecho de que Enzo va a jugar de arquero. La pregunta es como que, ¿cuál es tu punto de vista desde afuera, desde acá, que lo estás viviendo como extranjero, ¿no? Y tu opinión sobre el hecho de que en Sudamérica siguen jugando fútbol, considerando que COVID sigue muy, muy grave y pues hay una situación súper delicada en Colombia también.
His opinion on River Plate's match and just in general how soccer is being played in South America, even though COVID is having a big effect in some countries.
Con respecto al COVID, con el fútbol, no soy quien para decir si se debe jugar o no, no tengo opinión. Pero
in regards to COVID and soccer, I'm not someone who's really has the authority to have an opinion on that.
Lo que le pasó a River lamentablemente fue algo feo, no agradable, pero considero que hoy los jugadores van a dejar todo y bueno, después lo que pase es fútbol, ¿no?
What happened with River is a really tough situation, but hopefully things will go well. We'll see what happens, and whatever happens, this is soccer.
Ojalá ganemos, ¿no?
Hopefully we win. All right, thanks guys. With that, we'll let Santi go. Thanks everyone.
Bye.